Hello everyone, it's indeed inspiring to see you back again, and we are here in this Business Analyst series. We are going to help you with step-by-step journey to learn and develop your skills as a business analyst. Here, you will learn a lot about how to interact with client, how to capture the user stories, how to document them and produce BRDs and SRS, how you can do the data modeling part, UML modeling, software methodologies, Agile, Scrum and DevOps, so many and so much things to learn. So I insist you to go through this particular series and get an advantage on Business Analyst.
So the requirement management and communication needs the management of the requirement and the communication within the stakeholders and uh, the particular project manager needs to be performed over here. So all the requirement, like from the initial phases, whenever a client is giving certain requirements, a draft needs to be followed, like prepared over here. So let's make a PPT as well. Need to discuss few points regarding the requirement management and communication. Like whenever the client gives some requirement to us, we particularly frame that requirement and need to prepare a draft accordingly, because at the time, it may change, because sometimes it may require certain like we can say the requirement was ABC, and after few times, like if I want to understand that requirement, I would look it from my side, my point of view, because the communication with is with only the project manager, not with us. Like the client is having a communication with the project manager, not with us. So with that time, the requirement may change. Like I can understand it properly, or at the initial phase, I have understood the requirement in another point of view, and by the time it may change. So I need to handle such requirement or the changes within my project. So it may not affect to my project cost as well as the objective of my project or the client given project. We need to trace each and every requirement. So we need to trace the requirement from the initial phase only, whether it is a small requirement or the big. We need to keep the record of each and every requirement. Like here we can take the examples of certain uh, the RASI matrix. Like you are being framed everything, every requirement or the management or certain persons are being assigned, the required persons are being assigned to certain tasks to be completed, and one of the person is being taken as a project manager for completing the task, or acknowledgement person is being assigned. So that means like if we have created like a RASI matrix, the traceability, what needs to be performed by what person, and as well as what requirements are being taken from the client, that also needs to be traced and maintained for the reuse of a particular requirement. Like if a certain requirement is being reused again, like it can be happen sometime that we may reuse certain requirement for any other purposes within the project as well. So we have to maintain the records of each and every requirement with the help of certain tools. Like maybe we can use Excel, through which we can collaborate, or like we can share whole Excel with the draft with the client to collaborate on the requirements. If he wants to, if he wants another set of requirements, or if he wants a change in the requirement, we can add it into our requirement particular columns or particular Excel according to the client requirement. So we need to prepare a certain softwares within the sheets, we can say, we can particularly prepare the packages and share the requirement with the client or the stakeholders to get the requirement. As soon as the requirement is uh, got by us or the project manager, we can start preparing the draft as per the requirements. So this draft can gradually change according to the time, or may happen sometime like we can as per the time, we can uh, understand it as per our point of view or the stakeholders point of view. Initially it may happen like we don't understand or we may not understand it properly, but at the time we can understand it properly as we go deep dive into it. So for this purpose we need a communication which is a properly we can say that it may happen between the requirements of the project manager and the client, that ease of communication needs to be established between the client and the project manager. So project manager also can easily convey the messages or the requirement in the form of the matrix only, like in the form of each and every requirement. So the need was this and it is an requirement, like this is the requirement number one, requirement number two, and requirement number three. So the communication and the requirement needs to be understood. The requirement needs to be understood with the help of communication. The here the requirement analysis would act as a bridge between the designer and the diagrams, we can say, the requirement and the proper functionality of the model. The model is being now created as per the requirement, and the requirement analysis would act between the designing of a model and the requirement of the model. Okay. So the requirement analysis over here is like giving a priorities to a certain requirement. Like if I place here, for example, like I can say, uh, if I create a model and if a person or a particular company creates a project and the software is being created, and for example uh, the project now it is being created and we need to test the model. So we need to prioritize that particular things. What is needs to be like given a high priority, lower priority, or the middle priority here. So if we want to test the model, particular model and its functionalities within the particular software, the tester would act as a particular requirement over here. Like tester would check the requirements, whether that particular function which is being created, like the frames or the interface which is created for a particular functionality for the client, would is that would be like working properly or not. Like if I press over here or within this particular button, is that particular functionality is being achieving or not, like that particular objective is achieved or not by clicking on this particular button. So this particular thing is being observed and it is being the requirement of this particular function is being prioritized. Like it is giving, if it is giving a higher bug or the level of it is like low, we don't want to fix it right now but needs to be fixed, like we can prioritize the requirement here and organize the level of uh, importance, higher importance, high level importance, middle level importance, or the lower level importance. So the requirements here needs to be particularly prioritized, and after that we need to organize in a particular sheets, like maybe certain excel sheet, or maybe we can prepare a template to organize each and every requirement to satisfy. Like here all the things after creating a model or the software, we need to specifically organize each and everything, so that we don't get confused between what are the requirements and what is the objective. So if we organize it properly, so then only we can prioritize it properly. Okay. So after that, we have a specify and model requirement. Like after creating a requirement, after tracing the requirement, after creating a draft, after maintaining or after assigning the peoples to certain project to certain work, we also need to specify the model requirement. Like we have multiple models, like we have used data model within the the CRM, like a training institute, we have used data model. There are multiple models like scenario based model, which have the actors within that particular thing. And after that, we also have a class oriented models, where we actually have certain classes and objects within the particular models, where the classes and objects has certain attributes. So particularly we have multiple models, like as of now we has used data model only, like the data model which is used for creating the diagram. Okay, so we had multiple models, but as of now we have used data model. So as a whole, we can say that all the models are being required for certain purposes, for creating the actors and the UI interface, that is user interface. We need the actor, like that scenario based model. And for the technical or for the SRS purpose, like technical purpose, we need the data model that is required, that which we have made for like diagram we have made for the SQL purpose, like conceptual, physical, and logical model. So all these types of models are there. I think one more is there, like a flow oriented model is that we can use that flow oriented model for understanding the flow of the data, like which can also be um, related, or which can be compared with agile, like agile flow, like every anything, uh, the initially we understand the requirement, and the particular requirements are being understood by the project manager, and then after that a particular requirements are being framed, and then it is given to a developer. Again, it has been tested, and it is applied on a certain platform, and the meetings are being held again if a certain requirements or maintenance is there, then again it is being deployed. So this kind of agile or the flow of the model can be actually being applied uh, as per the requirement. Like for each purpose we have a certain models. For the technical purposes we have a data model. For the process purpose we have a flow oriented model. For the object oriented purpose, like for the developmental purpose, we have object oriented model. So here, after specifying each and every model requirement with the processes, like with the each of the modules, then we come to the defining the assumptions and the constraints, and verifying the requirement and validating the requirement. So all kind of assumptions and and the constraints are being applied over here. After, like if a certain requirement is given here, and at the time of period the requirement is like taking a lot of cost. So that is a particular constraint to us, like we need to fit that particular assumption or the requirement within a particular the cost. So if it is exceeding with out of the cost, like after a period of time, because we have understood that this is the requirement, uh, because it was so I saw the requirement with my point of view, but at the time passes, the requirement becomes or we understand it properly, like we can understand it deeply. So the requirement is now changed, so it is requiring a higher cost, so it is like a constraint for me to particularly frame that a requirement within the particular within the particular cost which is being given to that particular application. So now specifying the model requirement and giving a assumptions and constraint, like that was the assumption and the constraints which actually applied after certain time. So we can analyze the uh, requirement as per the time, but we need to have a certain traceability of this requirement, which is actually shared with a particular client here, and verify whether that particular requirement is the same or it is now changed, like whether it is satisfying the objective of the client or not. And we need to validate it with the client and with the designers as well here. So here verifying the requirement with the client and validating the requirement with the proper developers for creating a proper requirement which satisfies the client's requirement or the stakeholders. So the communication would happen with the help of project manager only over here. So here we can actually say that the requirement analysis is the bridge between the proper uh, modeling or the we can say the designing of the model and the system description. Here we actually take the system description, we analyze with the help of requirement analysis, and communicate with the designers to proper or to create a proper design for the client's requirement. We need to trace each and every requirement of the client with the help of certain tools like Excel sheet. Each requirement needs to be like traced or placed at the time of draft. After that, after preparing a draft, each requirement needs to be properly framed, and which can always like a list of requirements needs to be prepared, and only on that requirement the designer should work, like it should not move to another objective. The objective needs to be clearly defined, and after the maintenance or the requirement, maintain the requirement for the reuse here, that needs to be like as I said, the maintain requirement needs to be reused again and again. All right, so the purpose here was like to prepare the model, like prepare the document of whether it can be a text, we can say, or whether the with the help of certain diagrams. Here the requirement management and communication would happen with the text document, and the requirement analysis can be made or can be performed with the help of diagrams like models requirement, models requirement, that point, the specify and model requirement. These are the points which requires the diagrams, diagrams, to actually know the proper model requirement, what is the purpose and what actually needs to be achieved. This purpose is achieved by the particular model. So this is ABC is the purpose, and this purpose is achieved by a particular model, that is flow of the model. This is the data, and the data would flow like if it comes into a particular I would just draw it here. The flow of the data is here. It is UI interface, and after that entering into the UI, it would again go into the database, and after the database again it would store in the database. If it is a training institute, then a particular database would be accessed by a training institute, and after the data is being used, it would get a the particular training institute would get the call back, or certain inquiries are there, they would revert it. So it is a kind of flow of a particular the process of the data. It is the process of the data which is flowing from the initial to the end of here we can say the objective of the training is to get a training institute is to get the particular inquiry call, and they need to convert it properly to as a student or maybe certain participant, we can say. So this is a particular flow of the model, flow control of the model. So after the flow control, and we have last, that is communication and documentation. So communication and documentation is actually been explained by the sir, that it is a creation of UML diagrams and the sequence diagrams and the ER diagrams, which I have actually explained. So that was all about the business management and communication and the requirement analysis. Here we need to understand the requirement and analyze it properly for the further designing of a particular model. Before deploying it on the particular platform or for a particular industry, we need to prioritize everything and avail it for the maintenance of it. And we need to also, after deploying, we need to have a maintenance of that particular model as well. So everything needs to be properly managed and organized in a particular way, that each thing needs to be properly done.
If you like this video, please do share it with your friends and those who need it. And don't forget to press the bell icon and also subscribe to our channel so that you can get all the videos notifications readily in your account.